Jesus preached the entire Bible, beginning with Genesis, ending in Malachi, pointing out what the Father had already said about the Messiah. How if Cleopas were the student of Scripture that he tried to get Jesus to believe he was, then he would have understood who Jesus was. He would have been more like Simeon. Remember Simeon in Luke chapter 2? Who sees Christ coming in to the temple and recognize that this is the Messiah. Why didn't he get it? What didn't he see? Jesus tells him it's right in front of your face. Don't you understand what God is doing? See, this story begins not with the birth of Jesus in Bethlehem. It begins with creation. It begins in Genesis chapter 1. And the interesting thing about Genesis is that God is introducing himself. This is who I am. The first stories of Genesis are all about God. But God doesn't introduce himself the way you and I would. I mean, if you and I were God, the first chapter would be about, I am the baddest man in the universe. I'm the baddest woman in the universe. Nobody is equal to me. I'm the God above it. We would have done all the God stuff, right? You better understand from the get-go who I am. It's the way we sign letters when we want to impress people. We will sign our full name, comma, and then we will list all of our accomplishments in our signature. You'll have all the degrees, all the awards, and that long list of initials that follow our name because we want to have some kind of weight. We want people to recognize who we are and the authority with which we speak. God doesn't. God introduces himself as an artist. What is it that God really wants us to know about him? He loves to make things from nothing. I love to start with nothing and make something. And he started it in Genesis chapter 1. There was a time when things were as they were supposed to be. He ends it with the return of Christ, making things as they once were, as they now are intended to be, and nothing will make a sad ending to this story. This is where this story ends. It ends with the promise in Genesis 3 being kept in the end of Revelation, that Jesus, Son of Man, would strike the head of the serpent, would kill the dragon, and things would be back like they were supposed to be. Now, in between Genesis and Revelation are the stories of salvation and the stories of redemption. We've got ups, we've got downs, we've got failures, we've got victories, we got times when people were faithful, we got times when they lacked faith. And all of it, God is working to bring us to the Jesus moment in Jerusalem. And he's writing this story, inviting us to be part of it, and how you choose to be part of it determines how God writes the story. And there's all of this unfolding and all of this drama. It starts right here in Genesis 3 when God promises, yes, serpent, you will strike the heel of man, but from his seed will come the one who will strike your head. Every time there is judgment, God writes in it a sentence of redemption and hope. He always leaves his people a way out. He always leaves them a way to escape. The door is never closed.